Okay, we are recording. This is Empathy Training Design Team number 2, and it's our 5th meeting. And we just want to invite anyone that happens to be watching this to join our design empathy training design team. You can go to empathytent.com, and there's a link to how to take part in helping to design an online empathy training MOOC and curriculum. So with that introduction, Jessica, you're going to guide us?
I would like to offer a short, I don't know, meditation or just a grounding exercise to settle in. And then after that, we'll share with few words how we're feeling right now. And then we will mirror physically the feelings of each other. So I'd like to invite you to close your eyes, and if you are seated, I think you are all seated, so seated, and if you can, have your feet on the ground and sitting as straight as you can. And I would like you to take a few deep breaths, and when you inhale, count to 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4. When you inhale, and you just stay for a few seconds and inhale, and you exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it another one. 2, 3, 4. And exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. Inhale. And exhale 2, 4. And as you're sitting straight, keep your eyes closed and imagine a thin string trying from your bottom to the sky, that it's like making you sit very straight, that this string is trying to pull you from your butt to the sky. And imagine this string making you want to stand tall. And you can almost watch the string going through your back and your skull going out. And as you follow the string going up, look now. Your eyes are going down and down the string, and the string is bringing a light with it. Follow the light that it's slowly entering your skull. The front of your face. This light is filling you up through your neck and slowly through your shoulder, your chest. It's a warm and safe light. It's going through your back, your belly, your genitals, your bottom, your hips. It's going through your squats now, your hamstrings, your knees, and safely and surely go through your calves, through your feet. The light just through your feet is going down to the ground, evaporating. Take another deep inhale and exhale. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Come back to here and now with us, with Edwin, Rita, and Bunny, and me. If you want to stretch I always like to stretch after that as well.
Thank you, Jessica.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So, let's do a check-in with some words. How was your experience? So right now, how you feel? Rita, I see you smile. Do you want to start?
Yeah, I'm seeing the inside of my body being so light with lightness and light with clarity. It's nurturing. I just have some pain in my lower back this morning, so yeah, it was nurturing for my back as well. So, and for my brain to settle down. Thank you, Jessica. It was fun.
I'll go then. So the feeling is there's a sort of a feeling of calmness. At the same time, in my head is a little crunching. So it's like two different senses.
Would you like us to do the mirroring now?
Yeah, if you want to do we're doing a physical mirroring, seeing if you got it. If you want to.
So this is your head here, and this is how.
Yeah, the rest of the body, kind of the crunching. If you want to try it, Bunny, we're doing just a mirroring. This has kind of a flow and a crunch.
Flow and a crunch.
That's not quite it, but close enough.
For me, it's simply calmness. I'm feeling calm and inquisitive.
Inquisitive. If you would have a sign for that you would like us to mirror, what would it be?
A sign?
A sign or gesture of that, like just Edwin did, like how it represents the feeling.
Just
yeah. Thank you, Bunny. For me, I'm not sure because I was so focusing on trying to do that. It did help me to ground. For me, I think I feel more like always when I have my feet on the ground and my butt on the chair, I'm feeling kind of like, okay, yeah. And I wanted the light for me to be warm because it's a cold day in Toronto and I'm wearing layers and my socks and I'm like, this is June? So yeah. All right. I think, Rita, you didn't show a sign, so I was wondering, I was curious if you had a sign for nurturing, a sign or gesture.
I can see it.
Oh, yes. Nice. Thank you. What was that, Edwin?
It's nice. It's nice that you appreciate. I enjoy you kind of guiding us through that, and I can sit back and just enjoy it. So it kind of takes a little bit of the responsibility off from kind of feeling, to kind of keep everything moving. So that's nice. Oh
yeah. Yeah, you're passing on a bit of like you didn't have any responsive for that moment, and it felt just nice to participate fully.
Yeah, it's like let a little, little stress out.
I actually enjoyed. I intentionally wanted to improvise, not to be too serious or to prepare too much, and I like that I just went with the flow, and yeah, I think I like doing those kind of stuff. So I appreciated that I had this opportunity, Edwin.
Yeah, and Yeah, well, we can talk about it later about maybe rotating facilitation, and so I think it would be good to maybe talk about that a little later. So, was you complete with that exercise, or was there more?
I am complete.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we wanted to set our intention, and we're getting a little bit of an echo, Bunny, I think from yours. If you could mute if you're not speaking, and then unmute when you're speaking. I think
Okay.
it'll just keep from getting, there's a little bit of an echo that comes in. And the mute is, the lower left. Ah, there it is. Yeah, that helps. Thank you. So we want to set our intention to begin with, and our intention is to build a culture of empathy, and for whatever that means to each of us. Does that work as setting up for an intention? Get a kind of an agreement on that? And to hold it, we're going to bring a little candle in and just have this going here in the background to remind us. Actually, I'll put that over here. Yep, there we go. And then go into our on arrival question. And maybe we could just go around with the first question. And Rita, could you explain, like you brought up that question about the chapter question that Miller names the person using roadblocks to help her. You came up with that question. Do you want to just kind of frame like why that question came up, and we can go around and share our answers to it?
Sure. This is an exercise that I use in workshops, to those roadblocks and trying them out. And I usually split them in, one is the speaker, the other one is the listener. And actually Jessica and I used it in a workshop we did yesterday. So when I read the chapter again last night, I thought, helper. First I was shocked by reading that word, and then I thought, this is exactly what we're trying to do when we use roadblocks. We want to help. It's our most of the time our intention. Really, you should be doing that, or when you move on with your life, you want to be helpful. So I thought it was a nice symbol of what we mean to do, and a reminder that it's not helpful at all. So it had those two kind of contexts in. So that's why I came up with that question. I thought, let's notice it as we discuss.
Well, I could share mine. I didn't even notice it. Like when you mentioned it, it's like I didn't even remember him, and I had to like go through and find everything, and then kind of look through, and it was in the try it part where he uses that word, and it doesn't seem to really fit. Like I could see someone like doing advice, thinking that they're helping or sympathizing and helping, but withdrawal and directing and put downs or whatever does not seem like a helping thing. So it maybe a different word, the reply or response or something, or maybe he just didn't have a good word for it, or so it didn't quite make sense to me. That it seemed like a strange kind of a word. So that was my take on it. Anybody else want to share your comments? And you're muted, Jessica.
Sorry. Thank you. I was coming from the same place as Rita. For me, when I was like you, when I was like, who is this helper guy? And I was rereading the page 18, try it, and I had the same reactions like, oh, well, for me, there was a double layer where we do we do want to help in most of the roadblock, and you're right, Edwin, to make a distinction. Actually, for some of them, probably not, but for most of the roadblock, we are really thinking intention, like genuinely thinking we are listening and helping the person. So for me, the helper was a nice kind of like little irony from the author of being like, hey, you think you're helping, but you're really not. And I think the other layer was also for this particular exercise, as Miller mentions, like, you know, if you both end up in laughing with this exercise, it means that you've done a good job. And for me, that's what a helper would do, like helping with this roadblock stuff. So we're helping with this whole process of doing the exercise. So that's just another layer that I saw why maybe it's called a helper, because it's helping in this exercise.
Mm-hmm.
But if I would do something in facilitation, I would keep the speaker and listener, because listener feels englobing more of all the roadblocks, and unless I want to make a clear distinction between them, I'm happy to stick with listener. But I think helper had a nice flavor.
Yeah, I think I would stick with listener too. Come to think of it. Bunny, you're muted.
I'm afraid I couldn't find it, so I couldn't get any context. I couldn't answer the question.
Okay. Then we have the next question is, why is building a culture of empathy important to you? And I asked that question because the intention that I'm seeing, or the intention for the training is to build a culture of empathy. So it's more than just learning how to be more empathic, kind of in an individualistic way. It's how do we really create a society or a community? Like, we're here, 4 of us. We're wanting to create a sense of empathy between all of us, sort of a relational empathy. And so why is that important? And it's, one of the reasons it's important to me is it's to see the whole, right? Not to just focus on me being empathic towards others, but to see the whole society and all the relationships within the society, and how we can increase the empathy of the whole society from sort of more of a systems, viewpoint, I guess. And so it's important, one, for the problem-solving aspect. I think the society would be able to work through problems better. And the second component, which is maybe even more important, is the feeling of a culture of empathy. That it's an environment to be around where it just feels good, right? It just feels open. It feels caring. It feels nurturing. It feels enjoyable. It feels creative. It feels, positive, and a sense of well-being versus, all these other painful feelings. So for me, that's why a culture of empathy is important to have. One, the problem solving, but also the kind of more of a beautiful felt experience in life. So that's mine. Rita, should we just go down the list here? What?
You want reflection on that?
Oh no, just sharing is fine. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm joining you in the sense that should we imagine a world where the culture is empathy, as opposed to fighting at war or with words, life would be quite comfortable, and and it would be nurturing to just be able to be ourselves and connect with each other in a sense of acceptance and yeah, so it's just to imagine that sense of a world where empathy is the culture, where we grow up with seeds of empathy, and it would feel like a garden.
Yeah.
Okay, Jessica?
I didn't put much, but I can elaborate more what I meant. I think, especially in the Western world, we really, you know, with the globalization and stuff, we got more individualistic, something, you understand. And I think having the awareness of empathy, as much as it is a natural thing, and I feel kind of lost it. And I do feel it's a humanity tool that will bring us back to connecting with each other. And why is it important to connect with each other? Well, to reduce the fear of the other, to be able to understand someone else's perspective. When you see someone who is extremely different than you or think very different than you, it's normal that at first we're kind of scared. And empathy is this way to get over that. And so it would definitely, you know, help with racism and prison. Like, it would help with so many things that I think, yeah, I call it a humanity tool.
May I go ahead?
Mm-hmm.
Edwin, you okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. How I answered the question is different than how I'm going to respond now. I sort of addressed the issue of why I believe we need to have empathy in the world, but I really am liking the notion of your focus, Edwin, of first of all of being able to build community, because the isolation and the adversarialness of culture right now, I believe, takes away from community. But your second point of it feels good is, I think, really the key, because again, back to the isolation and the adversarialness of culture now, I can't see how that feels good. And that has to be part of the draw towards empathy, and I believe that is going to be the key to creating cultures of empathy. There needs to be an offset to how it's behaving right now. It's not functioning well. Cultures and across the world are not functioning well. So I think your points were really well taken.
Okay, I was just thinking of another aspect. We have that it feels good, it's problem solving. The other is the vision itself. Is, for me, when I have a vision, it creates sort of a sense of clarity, something to kind of organize and kind of move towards. So the vision itself, I think, I find is helpful just for a sense of direction, a sense of clarity, a sense of hope, I guess. So that's see, writing in there, a vision. Having a vision helps. Yep.
So can I ask? Can you say more about the vision piece? And are you actually visualizing?
Yeah, it's.
What does that look like for you?
Well, when I think of a culture of empathy, there's one it's we talk about intention, and I see that we have that vision and our intention for what it is that we want to create, and then our training are sort of the steps moving us towards that vision. And so the vision for me, and kind of like specific instances, a story I tell about my family where there was a family conflict, family members were kind of at each other's throats. And I was able to listen to each party and have them start listening to each other and form sort of a family empathy circle out of this conflict. And that, we kind of tapped into a deeper core problem that was really about a sense of belonging, in the family. And when that was surfaced, everybody kind of came around and said belonging was important, and it created a real sense of connection. So it's those are sort of touchstones of just knowing what the possibilities are. And for me, that is, part of the vision is even in a family where family members can dialogue with each other, hear each other with their deeper needs, concerns, kind of be open and transparent, address problems and, move forward, for kind of mutual well-being. So, so I don't know, does that kind of answer what you're
It does. It gives me a sense of what's in your mind and what you foresee. It's a process for you, but the end result is very, it's palpable for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would that be correct?
It is. I mean, I know if I'm kind of getting there or not by how my body feels in that sense.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That helps me.
Okay. And this is something, go ahead, Rita.
I don't want to interrupt, and at the same time, I'm drawn to noticing that what the work you've been doing for the last, I don't know, many years with your website named A Culture of Empathy, and the connection you are gathering with all the people in the world that are committed to or researching or writing on empathy. You're bringing all that energy together. You bring us today together, and I want to name that, or maybe ask the question: is that this is part of you or bigger vision?
Yeah, was that like you're saying? Is the website and everything part of a larger vision?
Everything you're doing.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
You seem to use as an example what happened in your family, and you want to reproduce that at the large worldwide scale.
Yeah, exactly. It's looking at the culture as the whole world culture, as well as, there's small cultures like just the four of us is, we're kind of creating a culture here in our families and our communities, so it can scale, all the way to kind of a world culture. And how do we design and build that culture? So that's sort of the intention. And again, it's sort of having that vision. I think that if we have the vision that we're all just individual people going for our own self-interest, that certain way of looking at life, and versus that being part of it, but that there's a larger culture that we want to see the wholeness as well. It's sort of like the whole ecology of human relationships. So it's more of an empathic ecology or whatever, or about, so, and trying to articulate that too is, I think, important to do. That for the success of even a training is to have a vision that we're moving towards. I think would bring more people into it. Say, yeah, I like that vision. Sort of like, any kind of movement sort of needs a vision like that. So, okay, is there anything else on that before we move on?
I think what you just said is really important. It's huge. Every movement needs this kind of vision. I had not thought of it before, but I think you're absolutely right. If there is no vision, there can't be a movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think your vision then is propelling the movement.
Yeah, and that's something I like to do is more of this sort of visioning, that maybe even have some separate meetings where we have the whole time, just what does that really mean, a culture of empathy, and start having the different, go through the different components, different aspects of it. For example, it means moving from a culture of power over to power with, right? From a culture of competition to a culture of cooperation and collaboration. And so looking at all the different, maybe a culture of individualism to, I don't know what would be the opposite, what a culture of empathy is about, sort of a wholeness, right? Sort of an awareness of wholeness. So we could go through all the individual pieces and say, what are we moving from, being closed, fearful, to open, transparent. So there's a real kind of a contrast. It's also moving from the blocks that we're looking at, right? It's all these things that are blocking connection and empathy to a more empathic. So it kind of ties in with what we're talking about today. So anyway, having a whole, maybe a series of meetings just on that, and brainstorming about it, and maybe writing it up would be, something to work on too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, then thanks for jotting that down, Jessica. Okay, so the next I wanted to go into is the review of the meeting outline. So what we want to do, and we can just, what I had so far was that at the last meeting we did blocks to empathy. And we went through the blocks, and then one person would speak, and then they would speak to someone who would give them a block. And we listed the block. Someone then spoke, and then the person, the helper, I guess, or the listener, reflected, but with the block to empathy. And then the speaker said, no, that's not what I said. I said this. And then I don't feel heard, and then they said it again. And then they got a real accurate reflection. And so we went through, I think, about 6 of those. And the idea, what we were wanting to do is go through the whole series again. And I had, let me just share this. I had gone through the I'm going to share here in a second. I think this is the one. So this is on YouTube. So this was and I divided, I went up to block 6, I think. And so, let me stop the share and share again, but this time with sound. Yeah, so is judging, so it can take the form of blaming, criticizing, or simply disagreeing. So Pauline, are you? So here, Pauline then gives a talk, and then she speaks, and then when it's my turn, I do the judging. So I put a little sign in there so you could see that this was judging.
Get some momentum to reconnect with everything, and try and give myself time over the next few days, because there's lots of stuff kind of bubbling up as there always is. And then, I kind of want time to process and contribute.
Well, it's really your fault that you're going to be away. So I didn't line that up properly. So I was trying to say I don't know why that didn't line up the judging. So when I do the judging, then I put the little title, over it. And then later on,
to get the momentum that I want.
Somehow I was out of sync. So I was trying to put in, have to go do that again. Momentum. Is that when we do the empathizing, then we show what the empathizing is. So we have a little sample of, a block, and then contrast with with actual empathizing. We wanted to go through all the different blocks just to kind of demonstrate that, and then we divide it up and then put it online. So that was the one thing that we wanted to do, and then after that discuss designing the MOOC and then next steps. So is there anything else you would like to add to what we do today? Other activities? Okay. Jessica, are you speaking?
Yeah. What are the roadblocks that are left to do for today?
I thought we could start with the beginning again, just go through the whole set again.
Oh,
I think it's good to have multiple.
Oh, you think so? Okay, I thought we wanted to, we had started last week and then we were going to finish up the list this week because it took a while last week. So you feel you want to do it with different people?
Yeah, I think it wouldn't hurt. I think the more samples we have is the better, you know. Okay. Then I'm hoping we can have a whole list of blocks and then samples and.
So I'm starting to feel like it's an empathy and / acting course. I'm learning how to act.
Yeah, it's there was it is a bit of an acting. I had actually thought of, I want to talk about this maybe a bit later too, is then we may even talk about what are other ways that we can demonstrate the blocks. And one thing is that at the last meeting, everyone had written down like your favorite block, right? I think Jessica, one of yours was agreeing. So maybe we could even at one point is like have an empathic dialogue between agreement and empathy, that we do role play, right? That you are agreement and I am empathy, and it's like how, and we have to kind of think about how do we kind of move forward, and then you, I don't know, somehow have an actual role play empathic dialogue, but that was something else. So we can talk about that later. Fun. Yeah, it could be. So just how do we explore exactly? How do we explore this topic? So we could begin with present and bring that up here. Okay, so who wants to be the first speaker and the first listener? Oh, and what's our topic going to be? Do we have what should we talk about?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Yeah, what would be a good, any ideas for like a personal issue or something more playful or?
It can be both.
Okay, whatever you want. It's like whatever arises.
Since it's going online, not something we want, you know, that's confidential.
Yeah. Okay, so you got the. I'm gonna show the block. I'll read the title. Then the speaker will speak to whoever. I don't know. Do you want to be the first speaker, Jessica, and you can select.
I'm trying to come up with something to say. Oh yeah, sure, I can come. Okay.
Okay, and then the reflection will be the block, the first one. Then you just say, "Oh, that's not right," or "I don't feel heard." Say it again, and this time we get a real reflection, an accurate, empathic reflection, and then we move to the next person.
Okay. Is it one-on-one, or you want like me? I speak to all of you three, and then you three are doing like, if we do, for example, if we start with the roadblock of directing, would you like all of you guys, you know, doing the directing? Like I would have like 3 directing listener to really emphasize what directing is, and then someone emphasize. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. If you want to try that, sure.
I'm picturing the evening, hang out with friends around dinner, and then I say something, and everybody's like hammering.
Okay, let's do that. You say it, and then we just go around, and you get 3 directing, and then you say, no, I don't feel heard. And then I don't know, whoever the first person to speak was will then give a real empathic reflection. So we have a contrast.
Sure. Okay. I can start.
Does that work for everybody? Sound good? Okay. Wait. So I'm going to do a screen share. And so our first topic is empathy block number 1, which is directing, which is telling someone what to do as if giving an order or a command. Okay.
All right. My topic is about my business or my businesses. And, you know, it's not easy. It's I'm discovering what it means like to be an entrepreneur, what it means like to be working and not necessarily seeing the results that are translating with income. It's, you know, it's a valuable work, but you know, you work tons. Like recently we worked a lot with my business partner to do this one-day workshop. Just for a one-day workshop, we worked for at least 100 hours. And then the check is going to arrive soon. And it's going to be like, not that much. And and as much as I'm aware of that's the beginning, that's okay, that's normal, I'm still doing valuable work. It will come eventually. The purpose was to create a momentum and to create a base, a mailing list, and getting clients like through networking and stuff. So at the beginning, it will not translate into money. And at the same time, it is kind of tough, you know, to be poor and to work that hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you should just kind of give it up and just get a regular job.
Are you sure, Jessica, that you are asking enough money at the start? If I were you, I would maybe raise the price at the beginning, so you get at the end of the process what you are entitled to.
Yeah, maybe.
And I'm wondering, I'm thinking that a course would be a good idea, an entrepreneurship course that they offer at local colleges will take you through the whole process and make sure that you're doing your marketing well.
Yeah, okay.
Now you know. Now you know.
So you can just say, I don't feel heard, and say it again, like you.
Well, I noticed that as soon as Rita told me what to do, about the money, raising the money, I crossed my arms. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I know all of that. I know all of that. I've been doing stuff. I've been doing a year-long program on businesses, you know, so it's funny like how I was like already defensive.
Mm-hmm. So I'm hearing that that you were just feeling defensive by everybody trying to direct you, and that you're even starting to cross your arms already. Yeah, with hearing all this directing, and that you're feeling defensive, and you already know everything that what we just said.
Yeah, exactly. I was not asking for people to tell me what to do. I was just saying that it's just hard sometimes, and I recognize that it's hard. I know it's hard. I was just saying that out loud.
So you just wanted to be recognized that that it's difficult, and you just wanted to be able to express it and just kind of be heard about it. Yeah,
I was not even complaining. I just wanted to say that I recognize that it's part of the deal, and like you said, recognize that someone would say, yes, I know it is tough, and you're doing exactly what you need to do right now.
Mm-hmm. So you just wanted to be heard, and then just have people recognize that you're doing what you're needing to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel heard?
Yes.
Okay.
Way better.
Feels a lot better.
But I find that so interesting, because even knowing, you know, that it's you guys are doing the directing, like I couldn't help myself but cross my arms like, wow. Like, yeah, it's very interesting, like how it's really directing is a hard roadblock, I'd say.
So you were in fact looking for support and understanding and appreciation for what you're going through, and you wanted us to hear how complicated it's been and how tiring, and you've put all you being into this new practice with your heart and enthusiasm and professionalism, and when you're already doing something concrete, the reward is like, really, is that all I get? Is it ever gonna get better? It's a sense of discouragement, maybe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Not, I wasn't saying I was being discouraged at this point, but I do want it, like, some appreciation and to feel that I was not alone, that someone could understand that, yeah, you're not alone. Everybody is going through that as an entrepreneur. So understanding appreciation is what I wanted. And when you said that, I noticed I had a big sigh.
So you wanted it to be normalized and know that it's okay, Jessica, it's gonna get better. You wanted to be reassured that
It's part of the deal.
Yeah, I was also hearing you wanted to know that you're not alone in the pain, knowing that there's others who are there with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we're ready for the next one. Who wants to be the speaker? Arita, can I volunteer you?
We do the same
for the next block number 2.
Warning.
The warning.
So I will show the warning. Here we go. So our next block is empathy block number 2, which is warning. That involves pointing out the risks or dangers of what a person is doing. This can also be a threat.
I'm just wondering what to talk about.
I was just wondering, did anyone else notice that it said this could be a treat?
A treat, yeah.
I was trying to figure out what it meant. I didn't understand. Anyway.
Threat, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
That's okay.
No, this is good to point that.
Okay, so we're in the middle of renovations and our house is chaotic, and that's totally fine, because we know that it has a bigger purpose and we know the reason. So we are fine going with the flow, and we are fine going with the contractor who is not showing up today without telling us, and so on. And then we have to make those agonizing decisions. Just are we replacing the oven or not? And if we are, is it, which one are we going to use? And we don't want to put money into it, but if we're already replacing it, are we going to buy a cheap one that's not going to, that may fail us within a year? And we know that buying insurance is totally useless, because I've worked in the insurance business and I know. It seems so mundane when you talk about it, and when you have to make those decisions, it takes energy. It takes energy. First of all, you go into those stores, it's like when you go buy shampoo. I don't know how you do the buying of shampoo, unless you know specifically what you want. I'm overwhelmed by the amount of different choices, and when I start reading, the more I read, the less I know what I'm gonna buy, and I end up buying the one that I didn't intend to, because it's so a weird thing. So you're saying with something like an oven, it's a bigger thing. On top of it, I'm not the cook at home, so I don't care so much, and I don't even know how to use the oven.
Rita, I'm telling you, if you keep going this up, you're gonna have a heart attack, girl.
Yeah, you just got to stop what you're doing because you're just going to burn yourself out.
If it's not already burning out, you're fuming.
I can put myself in the oven, right?
And did you know that when you put money into a house, you don't get it out when you sell it? When you renovate, you don't get the money out at the end.
That's reassuring. Let's put things in perspective.
I have to tell you, that feels horrible saying things like that. It feels horrible.
Do you feel heard, Rita?
I absolutely don't. Now I have my anxiety is coming even higher than I started.
Well, I'm hearing that you don't feel heard and your anxiety is actually increasing now.
Indeed.
Yeah, and we like by adding threats and pointing out like the risk that you probably already know is increasing your anxiety and guessing makes you feel a bit more overwhelmed.
For sure. So now we adding to the problem that you have added to the problem that I gently brought to you.
So I'm hearing that you find that by us trying to warn you that we've actually just added to your problem.
Indeed.
Yeah. Is there more?
So I think we'll skip the oven. We'll keep the old one.
You've gotten a little bit of empathy, and now you're going to skip putting yourself in the oven. Okay.
I'm hearing how difficult it is to make these decisions continually, constantly, and without enough real history, background, or knowledge to be able to make the decision. That's difficult for you, even from shampoo to ovens, that it sounds as if the decision making, even though you're managing all of the other issues like people not showing up and the disruption it's caused to your life, it sounds to me as if the decision making is the greatest burden that you're facing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You would like to just be able to do some to make not to make simple decisions, but for things to be more simpler and reliable for the people that you already made a decision for the contractor to come, and when they're not coming without telling you, there's a bit of trust that's broken.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, then thanks, Bunny. Do you want to do the next one?
Sure.
And then I'll just share the...
What are you going to be doing to me?
We're doing advising, which
Advising.
making suggestions and providing solutions, usually with the intention of being helpful.
Okay. I would like to tell you about my challenges that I face cleaning the house. Everybody has the same challenge, I'm sure, but I face challenges because I find it so completely endless. It never ends. It's constant. I have difficulty pulling the vacuum hose out and putting it back, winding it back up. So even even though we have indoor, what's it called? Not indoor vacuuming. What is it called? Anyway, we have the kind where it's just a tube. It's not, I don't have to pull the vacuum around with me, but I find it difficult. I am so tired at the end of cleaning. Doing toilets is just, it's horrible. I just hate it at the end of the day. I used to think, oh, it's okay because it'll all look nice. Doesn't matter to me anymore. I just hate the whole process.
Hey, why don't you, have you ever tried to hire like housekeeper or someone to clean for you, or like those robots from Japan or China that cleans for you? Have you ever thought of that?
Toilets.
Yeah, I think that's it. You know, maybe a student. You could find some, you know, student who would work really cheap.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for coming in and helping out.
Also, what some people are doing, they do an exchange with their neighbor, and they go clean the neighbor's house, and they come to, and the neighbor comes to clean their house, and then nobody minds cleaning someone else's house as much as they do about their own, and then everyone is happy, and you have empathic neighbors.
Or you could do what I do, is just don't clean. Just let it all turn into a big mess. It works great, you know. It's like,
yeah, who cares, in fact?
Nobody cares.
Okay, did you feel heard?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Well, okay, then what I was hearing is that you're struggling with the cleaning, that the cleaning is very difficult, and it's a struggle to do the cleaning.
Yep.
Yeah, it's discouraging after like putting so much effort in cleaning, and you feel exhausted in the end, and you're wondering like, wow, I just don't want to have to do that anymore.
Yeah, you spend your time doing it, and then 5 minutes later you have to do it again, and then those toilets are so, wow, really, it's so it's like a never-ending story.
Yes.
You can't rest from cleaning. It's something, it's always on your radar, even with this central vac that
Central vac, thank you.
that is not so easy as they pretend when they say it.
I know. It's not. Thank you.
And I can only guess, Bunny, as well, that you probably would want to use your time differently than cleaning.
That is so true, Jessica. I tell my husband that all the time. I can do so much more with my life than clean the toilet. Really.
Okay, thanks. We're ready for the next one. And this one is empathy block number 4, and it's persuading. It can be lecturing, arguing, giving reasons, or trying to convince with logic. So let's see. One thing I'm thinking is the political. I just saw that the political right wing is coming to Berkeley again, and they're going to be doing a rally, and that's when the political left comes out, and there's all these fights coming out there. So what I want to do is kind of get a group organized so that we can offer, you know, empathic listening and mediation to both sides, actually. So anyway, I'm just starting to think about that. You know, I just found out about this new rally yesterday, so I'm trying to kind of think of, you know, how to be as effective as possible to foster, you know, kind of have an empathic approach there to bring the different sides together.
Well, you know, Edwin, that power-hungry people in politics are not going to listen to you, whether they're right-wing or left-wing. There's no reason to even go.
Yeah, because honestly, looking at the facts and the history, like nobody cares.
That's
So,
right.
And if you look at what you've done before, it's so difficult to get the people to the tent. So why do you even try?
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm feeling a little bit of sort of a, and I feel everything kind of constricting into this kind of art. Myself slowly kind of constricting and sort of this little pain starting to grow here.
It's very physical, huh?
You're like literally like
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sort of a struggle because you know, very few people come out to support us. So it's I feel a lot of the burden is on me to kind of make this happen. You know, to kind of be out there. We get maybe a handful of people, and there's just not a lot of support for this empathic approach that that we're doing. So it's a little bit hard. I feel like there's a lot of kind of responsibility on me to kind of make something happen.
yeah, it sounds like it must be a bit overwhelming and a bit of pressure on you, like to carry on this wonderful vision you have. And it takes a lot of people to be able to carry your vision, and you would like to have the support, and because you do believe that it can change the world, and
Yeah.
sometimes you may be alone in that, in all of that. Yeah.
And that from what I'm hearing, Edwin, is that you have a great belief that even if that the politics of it are not really the issue, it's the human part of it, is that just talking to either side, no matter which political view they hold, is that you believe that there is strength in that and possibility in that, and that is something that you feel would be most helpful.
Yeah, so you're doing it with your passion, and you know the inside that it's going to make a difference, and yet in the moment it's overwhelming, and it's a big it seems immense, and at the same time you know it will have an impact.
Yeah, it's more the support, like just kind of being heard by you all. It kind of feels more like being heard. It feels like support, and there's sort of a more of an openness. Like it would be nice if there was more support in the community like that. Yeah, we can kind of help support and move this along. So it's helpful. So, okay, then let's see, the next block is, let me share that. And maybe we could, Jessica, if we could go around again, and it'll be your turn. So the next block is empathy block number 5, which is moralizing, which is telling people what they should do, I guess from a moral standpoint. Okay.
I can choose another topic. Last night, as I turned my head towards my how do you call those, the place where I put my books that I want to read, a nightstand or something, I think I counted, there was 15 books that I have started and didn't finish, and there's always another book to read. I just ordered Applied Empathy of Michael Ventura, and I was excited. I just received it. I read the beginning, and then I put it on the pile. And I was like, oh my God, there's so much I want to learn, and I'm feeling overwhelmed by it. And so in the end, I just procrastinate and watch Netflix.
Jessica, I think it's time you stop buying books until you read the ones you have already on your night table. Really, this is such a waste of money.
I take library books too.
Well, I think that to really be responsible, you really need to start reading those books. It's like, there's right and wrong, and there's responsibility, and you need to really take responsibility. If you're going to say you're going to do something, be responsible and do it.
I'm trying, Edwin, okay?
I don't think I better pile anything else on.
It hurts.
Yeah.
I do try my best to read this book.
Okay, so I hear it, what we've been moralizing, telling you to do is painful for you, and you're really trying your best to read all those books. It's just you're kind of struggling with kind of the burden. There's so much there to do.
Yeah, there's always like, either if it's a friend giving me a book, or like I watched, the YouTube video, the interview you did with Michael Ventura, and I loved the guy, and I was like, okay, I never buy books. It's rare, Rita, and and so for the first time, like I buy books on Amazon, and because this is the only way I could have the book, and I'm like, oh my God, like I want to read this book, and it's just I would like to prioritize also my life, all the other things I want to do. So I really don't know. I actually honestly don't know how I can take the time to read all the books I want to read. And
so you Jessica, you are drawn to those books because you have that thirst of knowing, of really getting to the root of those concepts that you are passionate about. And then the reality is that it becomes overwhelming because it's piling up, and the reality of your life is that you don't have time, and you're wondering, how can I still get to those the books that are really calling me, and doing everything I need to do and want to do anyway, because it's the reality.
Yeah, it's there is a lot of guilt around that. Yeah, Rita, it's I'm also, my attention span for self-help book it's shorter. I don't know if this is because of English, but I find sometimes if the book is not having a bit of a lightness to it, or it's hard sometimes. So that's why I just start reading it and stop, and then. But yeah, my eagerness to learn and to understand, and I love it through people, but I also love it through books. But it is when you mentioned about not having time, this is where I feel the guilt, because for me time is not about, oh, I don't have time. It's about the priority. And when I see the pile, I'm like, oh, I'm not prioritizing that. Is it a bad thing, or am I doing the right choice by flipping through the book and not taking the time?
So I heard, Jessica, when you first started speaking about the excitement about the books, and how much you were looking forward to reading all the books, and how much you do love reading them. However, I'm also hearing that you were a little disappointed in yourself, that you're procrastinating at some point, that it can be a little challenging for you to have these books that may be a little bit heavier than you would like them to be.
Not a little bit, yeah, a lot.
Not a little bit, a whole lot.
A whole lot. Yeah, thank you guys. I heard it.
Yeah, I heard some guilt there too, that kind of a sense of guilt for not reading those books, and also wanting more of a lightness, ease in the writing, and kind of struggling with kind of heavier sort of books.
Yeah, because it's triggering other issue.
Oh.
And that, so that's why guilt and shame.
Oh, even shame. Yeah, guilt and shame. Then,
Yeah.
and because it's related to other issues in your life, not just the books itself.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's other issues related, tied in with
Yeah,
that.
it just reminds me how school was difficult and how now I know it was wrong or it's not true, but how I was not necessarily a great student. So it reminded me this idea when I was forced to read books that I didn't understand, and that's a painful note, painful taste when I'm reading the book that I'm eager to learn from, and I'm like, I don't understand.
Yeah, so it's like all these other memories come up, like your struggles in school and, the struggles with learning. So when you struggle here, all those memories and painful experiences are coming into your life as well. You just kind of want to avoid it and go watch Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix, it's easy.
It's easy.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Okay, great. So our next one is judging. So, and this will be for Rita. So our next is empathy block number 6, which is judging, can take the form of blaming, criticizing, or simply disagreeing. And,
So, I have that ongoing questioning about organic food. So in theory, I really believe that organic food is healthier than the processed food, than the food on large scales that comes around. So when I am in a food store and I start looking at what is in a package, I really get turned off, because even if I go in an organic store, you still find there some produce that are not really organic. Or if it's organic, let's say tomatoes, and they come from Mexico, I'm not sure that they are a better choice than the tomatoes that were that come in Ontario, even though it's not described as organic. Can I really trust what's organic in Mexico or in China? And I don't know if I can trust what comes from Ontario if it's not really organic. And then how trustable is the organic label? So sometimes I just don't want to. I don't go to do the shoppings anymore. I send my husband, so after I can say, why did you buy that? This comes from, because it's too difficult. I mean, really.
well, it's really your own fault for having all these problems. It's like you're just making up all kinds of problems. And you really got to take responsibility. It's your own fault for creating all these mental problems, issues.
I see.
And Rita, a tomato is a tomato. I'm not sure why there's so much difficulty here.
I see.
Oh, it's so hard. I disagree with your question of buying organic or not. Just buy local food, and I disagree with buying organic. It hurts to say that. I disagree with you buying organic.
I know, this is painful.
It's, those organizations, just disagree with you.
Now I know to go shopping.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, Rita, is that you're struggling with going shopping because there's a lot of decisions, and it's really a struggle to make the right decision, and you're just wanting to even avoid making those decisions. So it's easier just to send your husband to make those decisions, and then you can just criticize him when he when he makes decisions that you don't like.
Be responsible, right?
Yeah, and I hear also, Rita, that you have maybe some wondering about trust. Like, how can I really trust those organic places? That it says organic, but it come from far away. It's I'm hearing there's a bit of a question around that, and you like to make the best decision that for that would be aligned with your values and your wallet.
Yeah, that's a point I didn't say, but it's there, totally there, because you pay much more for organic, and you do wonder, is it always organic, and is it a buzzword that's coming now with the veggies?
Yeah, is it justified to be that expensive?
Exactly. Yeah, so much so.
Rita, I think that it's more decisions for you that require so much enormous amounts of information that it's overwhelming. How can you make decisions based on all of that overwhelming information? I feel for you.
Exactly. Thank you for your support. I feel heard, finally.
Okay, and our next topic, let's see. So we have empathy block number 7, which is agreeing, which usually sounds like taking sides with the person, perhaps approving or praising them.
Okay, I think it's my turn
Yeah.
to speak, but I'm totally flummoxed by this because I'm not sure how agreeing, so I'm sure you'll all show me how agreeing is going to be a block. But I had an incident that happened at Canadian Tire last week. Just to set the stage, I have mobility issues and central nervous system issues, so my central nervous system is always on high alert. So I was standing in line paying for my products that I bought, and a young, very quick sales associate banged into me. I'm not going to say he bumped me, he banged into me. The first thing it does is startle me, and the second thing it did was it caught me off balance, so I had to grab for the counter. And he said, sorry, kept going. My emotions kicked in right away, and tears just appeared. It wasn't that I was, I think I was a bunch of different things. I may have been, I was shocked. My system was shocked. I was afraid because I had to grab for balance. I was angry that someone would do that to me. But all of those things happened concurrently, and I just started crying. And then I'm the center of attention, which is not a good thing. But I'm angry enough that I said to the sales associate who was now across the aisle, I said to him, you said you were sorry, but you didn't mean it. And he said, well, I said I was sorry. And I said, yeah, you said you were sorry, and then you just ran off and left me. Well, I'm sorry. So there was concurrent, like rapid fire sorries. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And I said, well, you know what, that really doesn't mean anything. And I'm trying to be logical and explain. And I said, you have no idea the damage that you did or the impact of what you did. But my emotions always get in the way of my ability to speak So I then just shut down, paid for my products. And as I was leaving, the sales girl, there were 3 sales girls who were watching this whole thing, and the 4 people in line behind me. The 3 sales girls were there, but the one who cashed me out said, "Have a nice day." So I left that store totally a mess. I told my husband that I had a breakdown, and I did. I totally had a breakdown. A Canadian Tire. How pathetic is that?
No, I don't think it's pathetic at all. I think you were totally right to be angry at this jerk.
Yeah, you did great. I mean, you really handled it well, I think. It's like you just kind of expressed yourself and really did a good job. It was amazing.
Yeah, those people were super insensitive.
Yeah, they were all jerks.
We should all boycott Canadian Tire now.
You're muted, Rita.
Good for you, Benny. You did exactly what you should have done. Exactly.
Okay, how is this bad?
So you're like wondering, how is all this approval and support and praising negative?
Someone explain to me why this is bad.
And you're like, why is this difficult? Why is this negative? Sorry, Rita. You're kind of enjoying this, and it's like really.
It's nice to have the agreement. I'm enjoying it. Yes.
And when I was curious, when I say, this one was a jerk, so I made a judgment about this person, were you like, yeah, he's a jerk? Or you were like, well, that's not really what I meant, but.
No, that's not really. I wouldn't say he was a jerk.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, for me, in agreement is, I think this is where Miller says sometimes there's a place for roadblocks, and sometimes I think agreeing makes it about me, like, yeah, I am agreeing with you because I think those people are jerks, and so I'm moving away from you, what's happening for you, and I'm not with you anymore. I'm like, yeah, let's protest, or let's lights. It's all about me agreeing with you, not about you. And you just say that you were traumatized by this experience, and I didn't mention at all about that. I just say, yeah, you were right to be angry. Fuck those people. Sorry.
We're online.
You'll beat me, Edwin, would you?
But boycotting Canadian Tire, that's about you. You're right.
Exactly, right?
You're right. So that agreement is a little over the top.
Yeah. So I think what you're saying, Bernie, is that the normalizing whatever the way you handled it was supportive, and it's when we go a step further in becoming, as you were saying, Jessica, is bringing it to us, is when it felt disconnecting. Is that what you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was also hearing with this event that when the person bumped into you, that you were shocked and surprised, and it felt like they didn't really care about what they had done, that you were maybe needing more of a sense of care and concern, and you didn't trust his apologies and didn't really feel that he was caring and concerned about you.
Yeah. I feel heard about that, because there was no care. And society just says, oh, all you have to do is apologize. No.
Mm-hmm.
So it was even more hurtful to hear an apology that you received as just words, and you didn't connect with the guy, even having any real apology or regret.
Yes.
So that was hurtful. It
Yes.
was adding fuel to injury. you you were already in distress.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. He didn't go beyond anything, beyond his responsibility of saying, I'm sorry, and then it stopped. He didn't have to go any further than that. That's all he had to do.
Yeah,
So
that
you were
someone will
left
not
on
take
your
responsibility for. Sorry, Rita.
no, we're just saying you were left on your own and
Yeah.
still on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, and left on your own. And I was hearing a few things as well, and how you noticed the way the person say have a good day felt like you are totally alone in that. There was nobody who stood up on your behalf. And I was hearing also a bit of your internal, like, you explained that your emotion flattered up right away, and this is how you chose to react. And I was wondering if that was maybe a bit of shoot, I wish I didn't react it that way.
Mm-hmm. I wish I hadn't gotten emotional. And then you become discredited. As soon as you involve emotion, that takes away from your words, I believe. And the have a nice day at the end of it was very insulting.
So you feel it was like a sense of maybe sarcasm in the have a nice day, and that when you're emotional, showing your feelings, that kind of discounts you and dismisses you, and yeah, you're not really, your experience is not valued.
Yes, thank you. I feel heard.
Okay. Then
not agreed with, but heard.
Then the next one is empathy block number 8.
Edwin, can I just interrupt? I need to take a break to go to the bathroom.
Oh, okay, shall we take a pause then?
Let's do that.
We'll pause then. And wait for her. Yeah, so we're going to probably spend most of this meeting finishing these up. So looks like it's taking a little bit longer than I thought, but I find it pretty. I'm enjoying this exercise. So,
how many more are there?
Well, there's 12, and we're on number 8.
Okay.
So maybe we can try to move a little bit faster. Yeah, we should get through.
Yeah, it's a fun exercise.
Yeah. Well, I'm imagining creating having each block have its own web page, and really create a lot of different tools for how do we go in and explore those roadblocks and demonstrate what they are. So, okay, here we go. So let's go back, share screen.
We're going to shame you now.
Yay. I'm hearing some real enthusiasm there. So, okay, empathy block number 8, shaming or ridiculing can include attaching a name or stereotype to what the person is saying or doing. Okay, what is it that I want to talk about? The thing that's coming up for me is it's around this empathy curriculum project and creating this MOOC. So I'm spending a lot of time, like all my time now is dealing with how to create this training, and that I really want to make like the best, empathy training, empathy MOOC that's out there. And so I'm, reaching out, forming these teams. I just did interviews with another book author who wrote about empathy and connection and compassion in healthcare, and then interviewed someone who has an empathy curriculum that she did here for healthcare. So I'm just trying to reach out, and somehow it's a huge amount of work, and so I'm trying to get some kind of clarity about how to have a sense of clarity to be sort of effective, move forward effectively. And it's always a struggle, kind of confusion, gathering a lot of material, but also how to be effective. and also wanting to connect with, some deep principles, kind of organize around some deep, coherent principles. So anyway, it's just taking a lot of thought and I'm just trying to work it all out. So that's kind of where my mind is. I've been really focusing on this.
Oh my goodness, Edwin, like empathy. Don't you have anything else to talk about, really? Like, you think you're the only one busy?
You're full of yourself. You're so full of yourself.
You should get a real job.
Oh, dear.
We're done.
Oh, you're done. Oh, I feel like icicles going through my veins. It's like, suddenly it's like this fear and icicles start going through my veins.
Yeah, so what I heard you say was, there's a lot of things going on, and the interviewing and the MOOC, and you want kind of a sense of clarity, and I'm hearing a bit of hope as well with all the things that's happening, and organizing everything, and getting things moving.
Yeah, and what I was noticing with all this ridicule and shaming and negativity, it was sort of tapping into, it's kind of surfacing my anxieties around this. It's kind of like more of my anxieties about, how to make it financially feasible and everything. So all it was like tapping into all those fears and anxieties. Yeah. Especially about getting a real job. My partner always says that. Get a real job. At least get a part-time job.
Wow, yes. So the shaming and the ridiculing really activated your own doubts and your own insecurities.
Yeah, exactly. And I could feel them. It's like I can feel them kind of rise to the surface, and they're painful. They're uncomfortable. There's real sort of anxiety underneath all that.
So it was really physical what was coming up when we were talking about something you're so passionate about, and the reality of doing all that and organizing and your intention to find, to understand, to be clear, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, and the negative took over, and
it's definitely physical. I feel it in my body, so the anxiety kind of surfacing. Yeah.
So the anxiety's there, as well as the ability for all of that shame and ridicule to bring up other topics like your financing. How am I going to finance this? Is it going to be the best ever? MOOC? How much am I going to have to be responsible for? It sounds to me as if there was a lot of other things surfacing under that ridicule and shame.
Yeah, and just being heard by you, it starts creating more softness around that anxiety. One is I'm not alone in with just being with those anxieties by myself. Plus, I feel like I'm sort of starting to feel understood.
Good.
So I find that's helpful.
So, if I may just comment that is a roadblock that's obvious. It's a roadblock. I mean, when someone is shaming and ridiculing, it's like an expression of negativity, of official negativity. It's like, really, I don't like you, and I'll let you know, or I don't like your project, and I'll let you know. So we're not in a role of helper when we say those shaming.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not sure, Rita.
I was wondering. Yeah, thank you for the element.
I'm thinking of my mom, and my mom has always been like to give you an example, where I think she does, I truly think she's helping when she's telling me that I'm being too sensitive and too emotional. I think she wants to protect me, and when I'm getting like trying to explain emotions, she's like, oh, stop it, like you're being too emotional. I think for me that's definitely shaming, but I think she does trying to, in her way, trying to help me realize, you know, you need to protect yourself and not share your feelings as much.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it is thing. And there's another thing she does that I'm not sure if this is shaming, but last time I went to friends, I was wearing comfortable clothes, especially we were going hiking.
Oh.
She looked up and down like that, and she's like, what is those things? I'm like, those are leggings, it's comfortable. Oh, you look awful in those. I'm like, why are you telling me this? This is mean. And she's like, oh, but you know, I just want you to know how you look like.
It's for your own good.
It's for my own good. So I think she does help. I think she does think she doesn't think she's shaming me, but I do think it's shaming. I don't know if that helps my shaming.
It does bring that perspective. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was hearing that, Rita, you were saying that the shaming is maybe a clear block to empathy, and then Jessica, you're saying, well, maybe someone is seeing the shaming as a way of helping. They're actually helping. So
sometimes, yeah.
And I see mostly in relationship when there's an obvious hierarchy for kids to teachers or parents.
Okay, well, let's move on. This might be a good story for you to share for the next, I think.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, for the next one. You could.
Is it me who's doing next?
Yeah, so it'll be analyzing. We'll be doing block number 9, which is analyzing, offers a reinterpretation or explanation of what the person, another misspelling, of what the person is saying or doing. Okay?
Okay. So do you want me to share my mom's story?
Yeah, that was a good one.
But it was not only my mom's story, but almost also like teacher story, where that's what traumatized me at school, and thinking I was not a good at school, is that reminding me constantly that I'm not working hard enough when I thought I was doing, so that I thought I was never good enough, and how or the way I look, like that I'm not actually, it's not even my mom, but I remember a very weird story where it was my first year in middle school, and my neighbor was in the same middle school, but she was like few grades above me. And I was wearing those long shorts that look like a skirt, but just right above the knee. And in the playground one time, she put me apart and said, Jess, you shouldn't wear those kind of short /skirt. And I was like, why? She's like, because you look like a whore. And I was 10. I was like, what are you talking about? What's a whore? And she explained to me, and I was horrified. Wow. Because my mom had bought me those things.
Well, you know, Jessica, she was probably trying to prevent you from harm. Wanted to make sure that you protected yourself.
Yeah, I think your mother is probably like a narcissist, and it's her way of kind of dealing with things. I mean, it's really quite, if you really analyze the situation, it could be like narcissist with psychopathic tendencies, and it's always very abusive. Yeah.
I think what's going on here is that you take too much attention to what people are saying. So
but I agree with that.
They didn't mean at all what they were saying. It's your interpretation. Doesn't make sense at all.
So I'm dumb. I have a psychotic mom, and
it's all your fault.
That's very reassuring to know.
So try to get dressed tomorrow morning.
Definitely not calling my mom for that.
Okay.
Jessica, I'm hearing that it was very inappropriate, that comment for you, especially age inappropriate and inappropriate on many levels, that anyone would say that to you, that there was an innocence about you that was destroyed at that point when someone criticized you for being who you were and how you dressed.
Yeah. Thank you, Bunny. Yeah.
Yeah, I was also hearing that that you feel that you've been ridiculed, like as growing up in different situations in life, that you feel that people have ridiculed you or kind of put you down in different ways, and that was sort of an example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you really don't know where it's coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, you have that sense of shock. You are just going about your business, and then this information comes, and it just doesn't make sense. And so, how do you deal with that? And it hurts. It so hurts and grounds you.
Yeah, it hurts, and like Bunny said, like there was this innocence that I felt kept being like cut off, and so of course I would pay a lot of attention to what people were telling me, because I thought I probably didn't know better. So yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're even wondering where all this comes from. It's like it's unclear where this ridicule or criticism is even kind of, what's the source of it? Like, is it something about me, or like what is this?
Oh, I was not even questioning. I was like, it is me.
Oh, so you're taking responsibility that it is sort of your fault. You're just taking it on. That
Yeah. Thank you.
Bunny, I just had muted you for a minute there because we're getting a little bit of echo. So I don't know if you had something to.
Oh no, I muted myself. So
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're on to the next one, and that is number 10, empathy block number 10, which is probing, asking questions to gather facts or press for more information. And that's Rita.
So my sister lives in Belgium, and she's been coming for the last few years, the last more than years, 10 years. She's been coming almost every summer to visit. She calls it her second home when she comes here, and it's a lot of fun, and we look forward to it. She didn't come last year for some reasons, and she's not coming this year again. So we're feeling that the time is growing between us seeing each other, and for some reason, because of the time difference, we don't speak with each other as often as we wish. So it's really difficult. She's a great.
How come she's not coming again this year?
Because she had some issues last year, and she needs to rest. Coming here is not the most restful because it's far. It's a long trip, and
do you usually get together more often? Is that the?
Yes, we usually.
How old is your sister?
What's her health situation?
What's your health situation?
Why don't you go to Belgium?
Where do you live?
Right at this moment, my blood pressure is going higher and higher.
Yeah, I love probing. It's so fun to ask questions. How old is your sister? I loved it, Bonnie. Completely out of the context. How many kids does she have?
You can see how that totally destroys your story. Rita, there's definitely a sadness for you in this whole situation that you're missing your sister and you're not quite sure what the source of the issue is, but you're starting to become concerned about the gap between the last time you saw her and the fact that there are fewer phone calls due to the time change. That this is difficult for you.
The gap is difficult. I have no concern. I want to clarify. I have no concern about our relationship. The reason she's not coming are just logistic reasons that totally make sense.
But you do miss her.
We miss each other, both of us. Yeah.
I hear the sadness that you miss her.
Yes. It's very special whenever we see each other, for sure.
So it's not like you're not worried about the relationship being harmed, but it's more just not being able to get together and missing each other. That's what I'm.
It's just the reality of life.
Yeah, the logistics of life are kind of getting in the way.
Yeah. But I also hear there's a lot of love, and you're absolutely not concerned about your relationship. It's solid. It's been solid for a long time. Even you guys living across the ocean to each other. It's a lot of sadness and love at the same time.
I feel so hurt.
Oh, good.
Thank you. Finally.
Okay, so let's see. We can move on to the next one. And
we are not done.
Empathy block number 11, reassuring, can sound like sympathizing or consoling.
This is another one that confuses me. Anyway, I guess it's my turn, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that what I want to say is that I have tried going on my bicycle. It's a long winter without going on my bicycle. When I was in Toronto working, I rode my bike every day, no matter the weather, winter, snow, rain, it didn't matter. I rode to work and home every day. So since I've been here, I've been confined without being able to ride my bicycle. So I've tried it a couple of times and it causes great pain. And I'm not sure how to ease back into using my bike every day in the nice weather, which there hasn't been a whole lot of that either.
Bunny, going back onto your bike is like going back on the bike. Once you start again, you'll be just good.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure things aren't that bad, and things will work out eventually. Don't worry so much about it.
Yeah, and I feel really sorry for your struggles, and I'm sure it'll really work out in the end. I wouldn't worry about it, but I hope you do okay. Yeah, I think you'll be okay. Yeah, you'll be all right.
So sorry for you.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it is.
You got clarity just like now.
That is awful. Okay, I understand now. Don't worry, everything's going to be all right. It doesn't matter what you said. Everything's going to be fine. Oh, thanks, everybody. I got to go now.
Well, I'm hearing you got some real clarity about the nature of sympathy and consoling and really like what it does to you. It's really, you get some real sense of it, clarity.
Exactly. Thank you. I did get clarity. Yes.
Yeah. And to go back to the bike story, I could sense your joy biking, like riding on your bike, and the freedom it brings you, and how you feel maybe stuck where you are, and you'd like to be able to bring that joy back in your life, and you're not sure how it's going to look like.
Thank you. Yes.
You really miss the bike ride, and when you look back at when you were working here in Toronto, going every day to work by bike, it was meaningful and enjoyable, and would like to find that structure again around the bike.
Yes. Thank you. I feel heard.
Okay, so we'll jump on to the next one, last one. So empathy block number 12, distracting. It tries to draw people away from what they are experiencing by humor, changing the subject, or withdrawing. Okay. So yeah, I'm feeling a little concerned, that, our time is going. We only have, we've gone for about 2 hours, and that I had hoped that we would have more time for, doing some other things besides this. But I do feel like, it's been quite beneficial to look at all these different blocks, and I think it's going to work out really well to make separate videos and share those. So on that sense, I feel really pleased that we created, spent the time on getting all these blocks down.
Oh yeah, timing. That reminds me, yesterday when we were doing this workshop with Rita, like we also had to do some timing readjustment in the afternoon. That was very interesting for me, particularly to have to learn how to manage that.
Edwin, you're so concerned about little things. You should really lighten up and let life be the way it is, and not try to you're looking at finding problems when in reality life is so much easier. Let me tell you that when you lighten up, life smiles back at you. Just smile.
You smile at life and it will smile. I actually kind of like that.
And when I had a question. About the okay, did you see me withdraw?
Oh, that's why you moved away from the screen.
That way. That was brilliant. I thought, yeah. Where did she go? What is she doing? Why did she leave?
Yeah, I was like you said.
Yeah, that was exactly it. Yeah, I didn't even register that was the.
You perfectly performed, Bunny. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that was funny.
Oh. Well, good. Yeah, well, we got through all 12 of them. Took us 2 hours, but almost, and we got through them.
Would you like some reflection, Edwin?
Oh, yeah, like a positive reflection would be nice.
I forgot your story after all this laughing.
Oh.
Me too. Yeah, I totally forgot. No, I was too busy having fun.
I feel like ridiculed and made fun of, and it feels kind of lonely over here. So.
Oh, and you feel lonely because you're so it's so important for you to carry this conversation that we've had for 2 hours in a way you wanted to integrate everything you needed to, and you're looking at the clock and it's 2 o'clock. And no, it's 11 for you, I think.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the reality is that we completed the 12 blocks, and we didn't do the rest that you were hoping.
Yeah, and I feel some anxiety because I want to kind of keep things on time, and people are distracted. They're making fun of me. It's not fun. It feels like, oh, geez. I feel like I'm made smaller somehow. I'm kind of like shrinking.
What a way to end the meeting.
Oh, you should be proud, Edwin. We got through them all.
Yeah, that's it. That was reassuring. What block is that? I think that reassurance was number
11.
10, 11. Yeah. So, okay, great. Okay, like I say, we're stepping out of that mode. So yeah, where are we? We got kind of next steps. We got chapter 6 next time, which is a picture with the sound.
Without the sound, yes.
Without sound.
Oh, without sound. Yeah, picture without sound. I had thought of what about rotating facilitation? I felt like sort of facilitating. Jessica started. What do you think about like a rotating facilitation or something like that too?
I'm up for it.
Okay. Do you want to do the next one then?
The entire meeting?
Oh, I was kind of holding this one. I just kind of moving through. So it's, yeah, facilitating the whole meeting and just kind of lead it in any way you feel is, works.
Oh yeah, you are you fully comfortable with that, Edwin? I'm wondering that because I know you probably have a clear idea of maybe what you want to happen, and if I do something that's not gonna maybe match or align with what you want, I want to make sure like it's gonna help the MOOC.
Yeah, well, I would just hold that intention, and I'd like to see how other people would kind of hold it. So I think that would be informative.
Okay.
So just just you added your own twist to the mindfulness to begin with. I thought that worked really well. I mean, that's a nice activity.
The only thing I just realized is next week I have a work commitment and I won't be able to come. So I can definitely do the next one in 2 weeks. And I just realized it's the 13th, right? Next week, yeah. So next week I unfortunately just realized I won't be able to come.
Okay. So you'll facilitate the meeting after, and if somebody wants to facilitate next week, is that? Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm up to that.
Okay. Rita? I mean, if not, okay, great. Yeah, so that's kind of it. I guess we could do a kind of a check-in with kind of a felt experience. How do you feel, and a physical motion to sort of close it out. And I will start with the humor was like kind of bubbling. I really kind of enjoyed this lot of bubbling humor that came up out of this activity. So if you want to mirror it's kind of these, little popping, mirroring, humor kind of stuff. So I really appreciate that. That's it. Yep.
Yeah, for me too. Yeah.
Do you have a movement for that?
Bubble.
Bubble.
Bubble. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. For me, it was like rubbing my eyes because I had tears of laughter. So I was like just rubbing my eyes, and I had a really good time. It was very fun. And role play. I like that. And I was actually curious to know, you said, Redwin, that it was a third team. soon. I will.
Oh yeah, forming for Mondays. Another team is forming.
I wanted to say congratulations. That's an awesome news.
Oh, thanks. Yep.
Yeah, and it was fun. It was lightening, and I love that way of learning, because we were internalizing the effect of roadblocks within ourselves, and that is, I think, the most powerful you can do.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
I understand why actors always say it's way more fun to play the villain in movies, and I understand a bit better now why.
Do you have a movement, Rita? You're kind of doing this, internalizing, sort of having, yeah, that's what I was seeing. Okay, then, look at that. Wow, right down to the end. So we had set our intention of fostering a culture of empathy, and so we want to take that intention with us and blow it out into the world and take it with us. If we take a deep breath.
Hey.
Get some smoke. Look at that smoke. Yay. Okay, great. Closing.
Thank you.
Thank you for today, guys.
It was a lot of fun.
Take care.